This is Bitcoin Today. Not yesterday. Let's make our scheme on this over.
We're summoning Dr. Ross.
Yeah, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air.
Okay, listen up, Dunskies.
This is Bitcoin Today. Bitcoin Today. This is Bitcoin.
Take money off. The point is, if you have the superior asset, it's going up forever, Lauren. Forever, 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 Lauren. Forever, 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 forever. Yeah. Forever, Lauren. Forever, Lauren.
Get that education going. This is Bitcoin now.
Class is now in session. Terrence Michael.
That was fast. I was
That's what she
expecting
said.
more music.
Oh, that's not what she said. Okay, we'll play some more music.
We'll just let people pile in.
You do not.
She also said that. Pile on in, people.
This is Bitcoin now.
Don't look now, but Bitcoin is on fire.
This thing is, you can't kill it.
You have to find something that you can trust in that trustless world, which is Bitcoin. You know,
It is a asset class that protects you, right? The U.S. federal government.
Today.
I was trying to see if we could summon the good doctor with that tune.
That keeps him away. Remember?
Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Lauren.
Don't even need to say anything.
Hi, Terrence.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Terrence.
Terrence is putting out a lot of provocative type, weird robot videos lately. And
Yeah, I saw
AI.
that.
Yeah. Makes me wonder. You're safe. You're safe, Terrence. You're safe. Dark Side's here. What's going on, Dark? How's life?
Top of the day to you, Lauren. Terrence, Tiffany, how are you guys doing today?
Hey,
Wonderful.
Dark.
I don't know about you guys. I am absolutely excited. I'm almost off my chair this morning.
Yeah.
Trump announcing that we are going to rename Lake Ontario to Lake America.
Oh my God, I saw that.
Just awesome, man. Like, yes.
Lake America.
We need a Lake America.
Just like the street, right?
Oh,
And
yeah,
the Gulf.
that will be the Strait of America, the Gulf of America. I've been working with my CAD designer this morning in AI, trying to figure out how we can reroute the water from Lake America to Lake Powell. And that way we can supply all the water down to Lake Mead and down the Colorado River Basin. Like, I see solutions, man. You know, a lot of people are seeing problems. I'm seeing solutions. And maybe what we could do is we could float a $3 trillion bond issue to raise the money to build the pipeline from Lake America to Lake Powell. So, yeah, I'm just working this through with AI, and it's just obviously fresh news. So it'll take me a little while, but I think I'm going to come up with a plan. I think we can do it for less than $3 trillion too.
I think AI is going to tell you you're high, but hilarious. Bitcoin Anon. What's going on? Anon, are you on?
I'm on. Yeah. $80,000 Bitcoin and I feel numb. I feel nothing at all. Why is that?
We're at 80?
Aren't we?
I don't know.
We were last.
I'm numb too. We're in the cold plunge, just numbed right out.
We've been sitting at 80 for too
Hey,
long
there's
for Anon.
Terrence.
It's been like 2 days, and he's like, "What is taking
It's
so long? I can't
Anon. It's
stand
not
this sideways
Anon.
action." Yeah,
You
I
do
didn't
love
come
the
into
sideways
this.
action based on the posts you've been making.
What are you? I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
don't either. Chad's here. What's going on, Chad?
Oh yeah, we haven't seen him in a while. How
Chad, where have you been? You been
how's
hiding
that?
under a
He's
rock
been
somewhere?
busy.
Yeah,
Working on
busy.
his Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
it's true. I
That's
have a
He's
new
trying to figure his phone out.
I have a new router, and I'm all set. But hello from Blockhite 964,019. Just been busy in the trenches. We're ready for the show tomorrow night. We're doing the Bitcoin Endgame. Looking forward to hearing people's perspective on how they look at their endgame with Bitcoin in quotes, but also in the bigger picture. So excited about that, and yeah, just enjoying watching Lake America and Treasury Secretary's percent and wonder when British is gonna, have lunch with them next, and hope British includes Dark in the picture with his next AI.
Hey, what
They're
do you
gonna go ahead, Terrence.
what do you mean by endgame, Chad? Meaning like a personal endgame? Like here's your goal with Bitcoin, and that's it, and you've reached your goal, and now you finitely know, or you mean the endgame with Bitcoin?
Well, great question. There's two end games, right? You kind of have to work within your own constructs of your own lifetime, etc. And then the bigger end game too. So, like, how does this really play out? What does a society with AI going to hard money look like? So it's two questions, and we very much look forward to hearing individuals' own end game. But then the conversation will also go to the bigger end game.
That was a great movie, Terrence. Didn't you produce the big end game, the great end game?
No, that was you.
Okay.
Yours was the big bottom.
Well, yeah. Dark, you came off mute.
Is that a sequel to The Big Squeeze or The Short Squeeze or what was it? Big Short?
Yeah, that was to Tiffany's bio movie, The Short Squeeze.
Ah, gotcha.
Kudos to you.
Gentlemen, what's going on?
We're living the dream, buddy.
Typically,
Living
when
the
you
dream.
walk onto a talk show stage and someone says hi, it's not
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a moment.
the
just to say
monosyllabic response. Yeah, it doesn't go far on a show. Just so you know.
Gotcha. I'll remember that one for next time, Terrence. Hey, I still want to talk about. I gave you the offer yesterday. You didn't take me up on it, so I'm going to do it again. I want to talk about, if you would like to, what this price means for the 4-year cycle, because I think it actually has some bullish implications for Bitcoin. So just putting the offer out there, gentlemen. Let me know if you want to have that
Terrence,
discussion.
did he say 4-year psycho?
Yeah, I think he's talking about you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Close. Huh? We let the people decide on this show, Kudo. So I think the conversation took a 180 and went a different direction yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to talk technically, the only 4-year cycle is what Bitcoin does with its halving every 4 years. Outside of that, the network doesn't know any dates,
doesn't
any
know.
terrestrial dates.
Yeah.
And so
It's not self-aware, is it?
No, the network can't be aware of any dates. And if you want to just talk about the years that go up and years that go down, that was already broken in 2025 because 2025 was not a green year. So
yeah, and we can't program morality into it either, can we?
that's right. Yeah. Now, does Bitcoin, just like all assets and commodities, move somewhat? Is it somewhat correlated to liquidity and business cycles and money printing and whatnot? Of course. Yeah, Bitcoin.
So, Terrence, I'm getting the feeling that you don't buy into the 4-year cycle theory.
I don't buy into the one that I think Kudo's talking about, because then Bitcoin wouldn't be anything if everyone can just trade based on dates. And we've proven time and time again that they can't. And, the data, what did you have? Just two cycles that happened to look similar.
Well, I think so. Couple things. Of course, like Bitcoin doesn't know about the 4-year cycle, but market participants do, and there's kind of a feedback loop with
Well,
mass
sure. There's
cycle.
always a self-fulfilling prophecy if people want to do what they expect. That's just psychological, and that's just people with exchange rates. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying there is no such thing as a 4-year cycle for Bitcoin
Well,
itself.
let me give you one perspective from someone who now again it's
And even
you know
with what you're saying, 2025 was not a green year, so it broke right there. Even if that's what you wanted to follow, that
Terrence,
should
I
have
think if
been.
you let me make my point, you'll be
Correct.
very delighted to hear it. May I make my point, sir?
Yeah, but I'm not sure he'll be delighted. But go ahead, and then we're going to let Anon speak because he popped off of mute as well. Go ahead,
No,
Kudo.
look, here's the truth. I mean, it has been running, it has been going basically 3 years up, 1 year down. 2025 was technically a red year, but that if you look at the general price appreciation, it went 3 years up. It went 2022 to 2025. I mean, there's kind of a technicality there. I think what's more interesting is that this cycle got cracked with Bitcoin. It first got cracked when Bitcoin hit a new all-time high before the 2025 halving. But I think a lot of it's kind of psychological, and then there's the supply demand dynamic. But here's my point. What's interesting about the move that Bitcoin just made? I mean, the market was positioned. There were about 3 billion in shorts that got liquidated over this past week. The market was heavily positioned, expecting the 4-year cycle to play out, like to basically for the calendar to rhyme like it has, let's say, the last 2 cycles. And we just had the biggest short liquidation ever. So the market was thinking we were going to go further down, and that didn't happen. I think that this is good for Bitcoin because it puts Bitcoin's kind of price appreciation and people analyzing the price back in the unknown, unpredictable territory. Like, and I've never and I wasn't subscribing to this. I didn't think we were ever like the hardcore 4-year cycle. People were thinking, oh, we're going to go back to 40K because they were doing some math. And I always kind of thought that was very, very unlikely. But I did think, oh, maybe we'll get the bottom in Q4. With this move that it just made, I've flipped. I don't think that's going to happen just, based off probabilities. But I think what I'm trying to say, Terrence, is that because this
What are you
move
trying
went
to
the
say, Kudo?
Yeah, there's
Get to
only
your
so much
point.
room on the
Yeah.
box to put an answer. Like you're going past the page
Yeah,
on
you're out of the
to the back of
lines.
the page. Yeah.
No, I just think what happened was very unexpected. I think it really cracks that theory hard, and I think that's ultimately good for Bitcoin because it kind of makes market participants rethink that whole thing and puts us in a new paradigm. That's the point.
I'm learning to juggle sharp knives, but I also trade Bitcoin based on the Power Law XL, which basically I just took the Power Law, put 25% on the top and the bottom, and I'm safely within the lines. Let's
I
go to
thought
Anon and
you
then
subscribed to that crypto influencer Layla Halpern or whatever her name is.
I don't
Because
know. Nobody
she,
knows anything. We don't have a crystal ball.
oh,
let's go Anon and then Chuddle.
Yeah, I'm so interested in this debate people are having. Does price drive narrative or does narrative drive price? And I really think it's both, and it just depends on when you start measuring because it's call and response. Like if you're at the top, you're calling for the bottom, right? It's like that's just how these things work.
Anon, please
it's the
stop
same
saying
as
tops and
hash.
bottoms. Terrence is getting
Oh
excited.
my, oh my.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
as hash and price. It's like people are like, oh no, hash rate drives price. No, price drives hash rate, and there is no chicken and egg really.
Well, I can feel Chad's excitement with this topic. I can just
Oh
see his
boy.
Oh boy,
nose
enter the
Here
building
we
boardroom.
to the
go.
screen.
Here we go. On boy, sit down, everybody, behave.
Sit, roll over, play dead, be good, chattel, choddle, Chad.
Yeah, is everybody sitting down for this?
I
The
am seated
regarding
comfortably.
Excellent. Regarding the 4-year cycle, there definitely is a 210,000 block cycle, which approximates 4 years, of course. So we should call it the 210,000 block cycle because that's what it is. And Terrence is 100% right. The only thing that's coded is the halving. However, what I don't think we've put enough credence on, um, and we'll know this in time, but I'm pretty sure the floor of Bitcoin is relatively defined by the production cost. And because the halving, cuts the or increases, roughly speaking, doubles the production cost every 2 years, or sorry, every 4 years, that production cost increase, I do think, is part of the mechanics that take us up through time. From that, obviously, you can throw, and I think that comes into play in the power law. I'm sure it does. So that combination of things gives you a quote unquote reset, quote unquote, every 210,000 blocks. That does change the dynamics and the way that ripples through the market effect. I would argue is fascinating through time. So let's just look at the first halving. That had like 100% impact, right? Because even the supply got so thrown. The second halving, that would be a 50% when you kind of run the numbers. The third one, or I'm sorry, the fourth halving would be 25%. And this one that we're going to have now in April of 28th will have like a 13% from, that perspective. So that wave, I would argue, does carry through time and have an impact, but it's not 3 years green, 1 year red or something like that. It's more along the lines of it has impacts through the industry with the difficulty adjustment that continually push Bitcoin up through time. And I believe that, 10 years or so, when we look back at this mathematically, we will more closely aligned to that than the supply having the impacts going forward, because obviously that's not changing as much. Thoughts?
Hey, Terrence, did Chad say creed?
He said
Credence?
credence.
Sorry, couldn't resist. I'm like a 13-year-old.
Yes, we all know that.
Get your shot glasses handy. G Money's on stage every time you hear the
Yeah,
word
we'll get back to Chad. Oh, yeah. So today's words for G Money are Trump, strategy, taxes, and pedo.
pedophilia. Yep, pedophile.
Shadalay, Shadalay, boys and girls.
And Shadalay.
No, I was just kind of, laughing at Punchy last night. Was still crashing
Oh,
out over
dear.
BIP 110, and it was kind of funny that the old man just can't get over it. And then you got people like British today who are saying that a friend of his got phishing attacked on his Trezor. And he's kind of like spreading FUD. Like, bro, if you're dumb enough to put your fucking seed phrase in a website, you didn't get hacked, okay? You just got fucking outmaneuvered. So, like, I don't know. I think people need to like watch how they spread some of the fakeness over the
G
crypto
Money, I'm
industry.
actually glad you brought up that last part because it really upsets me when there's really good companies out there like Trezor, trying to do the best thing, and people are like, "Oh, Trezor got hacked or Ledger got hacked or whatever." It's like, no, the person got hacked. He was social engineered hacked. It's like, just get the facts right. I think Bob too of Veterans posted something about his friend. He's like, "Oh yeah, his Trezor suite got hacked." It's like, no, his Trezor
Yeah,
suite did not get hacked.
it's just super annoying. Like
You
you
don't
guys,
input
like
your seed words anywhere in any software. You just don't do
G
that.
Money worded it as somebody getting outmaneuvered. Are you out there making a few extra bucks outmaneuvering people, G Money?
no, I'm moving my daughter into college this actually today, so
Oh,
that's going to be
wow.
fun. But no, like I mean, if you
What
give
kind of college? I thought you were against college.
she's going to Point
Bitcoin
Loma actually,
University.
going to Point Loma, so it should be nice. So I got to drive her down there and help her get all her stuff
You
ready.
mean
But
drive up?
Are the
drive
credits
down.
transferable to Bitcoin University?
No, Point Loma. Isn't
I
that up
did make
by
her
Santa
buy.
Barbara?
I did make her buy. No, it's by San Diego. I did make her buy some Bitcoin from her little job she had. And the other day she's like, "Wow, Dad, it really went up." She made, I don't know, like $80 or something, but she like finally like got it, so it was pretty funny. Um, but anyways, back to this shit. Like, if you give a thief like the keys to your house and he goes and robs you, like, is that theft? No, you fucking let him in, man. So like, the people spreading fake news like British, we got to keep those people in line because like you're just spreading fake news. Like that's fake news. The Trezor did not get hacked. For him to say like cyberpunks are dead, I don't know. Everybody, I need a new cult. Lauren and Terrence, you guys have a new cult that is about freedom and like, making money without all these freaking boomer retards that are just stuck in the system, man. If you guys have one, let me know because this
Well,
space
Lauren
is
was
getting
just hired
absolutely
by Big
insufferable.
Big Bitcoin, so
Yeah, I was looking for that sponsorship from Big Bitcoin.
you
It
can
didn't
follow
come.
him over
So
there. Yeah,
I think British got it instead. He's trying to drive everybody into the ETFs
he
using
took he
FUD.
took the
And
Big Bitcoin.
he did. He took the big Bitcoin bait. Triple B. Alliteration.
Yeah.
Wrong. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to Chad.
Shottle. Yeah.
Yeah. We get back we skipped over his subject.
Sorry, Chad. Back to you and
Well,
your
that
subject.
was that was it on the subject. I just think that we shouldn't call it a 4 year cycle. We should call it a 210,000 block cycle, and it's a good way to reset every 4 years based on Bitcoin's clock, which is really, as Jack Mallers called it, Satoshi created his own time because he couldn't, what clock would you rely on if you were to build this thing? And by building his own, he did that. So to me, it's an homage to him. But absolutely, the production cost through time is a fascinating subject because the costs, there's this huge push to pick up stranded energy. And, the people that are able to do that have a very low production cost, like Gary would say, $30,000 or something a coin right now. Sure, they're out there. Others have $100,000 production costs. So the miners coming on and off is a crucial evolution of price. And let's face it, number go up. But it is it's just like oil. There's a production cost per barrel, and although it can trade through those prices, so it's not really a total floor, but
Prices.
it is a mechanism that it pushes up through time, and I personally believe that we can correlate it to the 210,000 block cycle. Kudo, hop in.
Those are great points, Chad. I do definitely agree with you on the cost of production thing. Dan Held had a post today that was talking about, actually, he just said it doesn't matter in 10 years. If you bought Bitcoin 30, 60, 100, it just won't matter. Go ahead, Kudo.
Yeah, I don't think we're being honest about what the data has said in the past. 3 years up, 1 year down. I think there's real reasons for that. But again, the good news is it looks like what Bitcoin just did this last week has broken that, and I think that puts us actually in a very good place.
You want to talk about broken? Let's talk about the fiat system. I kid, but it is broken.
Hey, Lauren, on that subject, Grant posted a really, I thought, helpful, I'll put it in the nest in a minute, piece about the K-shaped economy and the importance of, owning assets to protect yourself and your family and et cetera, how that works. And the data is based on the 2020 consensus. And I ran it through and I looked at it a bit. And it was really interesting because, the national debt since 2020 has gone up 72.5%. So you have to take those 2020 numbers and move them forward to today. But when I did that, it also takes me back to the founding fathers, and George Washington, it turns out, was a 0.1 percenter on a K-shaped economy, and look what he did. And I'm just really hopeful that through time, our Bitcoin brethren that do have a stack that puts them in that group, that they start to step up into not just the local communities, but into in the United States structure, into state governments or into federal governments, and yeah, that's my hope, is that, our Bitcoin brethren that do have stacks that put them in sort of that stratosphere get more involved to making this world an accountable, fair place that we, I believe we all espouse to. Does anybody see that happening?
I think I saw that graphic, Chad, real quickly. Are you talking about the one where it was showing that the top of the K was the top 1% wealthiest people owned 93% of all the stocks and gold and Bitcoin, and the bottom 50% only owned 1% of all of that. Is that right? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, it's exactly what you saw. And this is why, to me, Bitcoin is so important to everyone. And even if you're in that bottom 50%, you can, you just like G Money's daughter, you can buy, $100 worth of Satoshis, right? You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. But the important thing is, once you look at a K-shaped economy with Bitcoin as your foundation rather than whatever local currency you live in, and the moment you make that shift, and really start to study Bitcoin, you got to put in the time. I mean, I always point them to your book. I think it's a great start. But once you put in that time, you have the ability to change your life in a way that you can't comprehend. I mean, I don't mind sharing with the room. Before, 2023, I went to the right schools. I had, these fancy jobs on Wall Street. In theory, I was doing what the system, said I needed to do. And it wasn't until I was, asked backwards in 2023 and kind of, got a slap in the face from a good friend to say, hey, look at the math. And I was like, okay. And I did that, and I've studied Bitcoin, and I've, listened to this show or gotten involved in the community, that I really changed my life. And you can be in that, the bottom part of the K. And good luck trying to get yourself out of it with real estate or stocks or whatever the hell. But if you put your primary currency as Bitcoin and step into it just with Satoshis, you can change your life. And the only way we're going to make this world better is if every individual takes accountability for their own life and builds their life to the best that they can, and then out to their family and out to their community. And we become nodes around the world, and that's how we win.
Hey,
Hey, Chad.
just to add on that real quick, Terrence. I've been trying to like, orange pill my daughter for years. And like, and from a psycho perspective, right? Like we talk about the energy and all the other stuff. And then like, it really just comes down to number go up. Like I've never seen her so excited when like it went up, like it's just the simplest, stupidest thing. But like, just talking about Bitcoin, they're fucking bored to tears, man. The youth don't give a shit about the 21 million cap. And eventually they're gonna maybe learn that stuff. But like, it was just funny how like it just went up. Like, it didn't even go up that much, right? Like 25%, I guess, is kind of a lot. But it just reflects on
Well, it's
like
the
how.
most in nominal terms we've ever had in Bitcoin. So it is pretty significant what just happened.
Yeah, but it just goes to show you like number go up is the reason everybody's here in the beginning. And so we need to kind of like make sure we're sensitive to people that are here just for number go up and then help them along the way on why it's more important than just number go up. But anyways, I thought that was just kind of funny how excited she actually was when it went up like that. So anyways.
Hey, Chad, with the divergence in the K-shaped economy, right? And with Bitcoin, in a sense, being this detour for people to come off the lower leg and enter the top leg because they can finally and very easily own property and own property that appreciates faster than just about everything else, or at least as fast. What would you say to the young kids who nowadays can fractionally buy stocks? They can easily buy stocks because before it was like, well, look, real estate is just, there's too much friction. Stocks, not everyone can get into those. Clearly, a lot of people aren't accredited and can't get into these other vehicles ahead of time and before retail. So look, Bitcoin solves all that. It's egalitarian, it's neutral, anyone can access it, blah, blah, blah. But now with all this tokenization junk coming, and with some places like Robinhood selling fractional stocks right on an app, they can buy $1 of just about anything. What would you say to them? Because for them, stocks are so familiar compared to Bitcoin.
It's a great question. The first thing is so you can only have this conversation one on one. And with that individual, it's like, where are they? What do they want? What do they really want? Most people don't know what they want. Most people are looking for a dopamine hit. And if they're looking for a dopamine hit, great. Go to Polymarket, go to Kalshi, go to the stock market. I mean, with the valuations where we are, I mean, the valuation thing is insane. We're the trailing PEs are like around 30 or something. It's just nonsensical. I'm sorry. And it's what do they really want? And if someone wants to build a life and they want to change their life for the better, then they have to, forgive me, act like an adult with their resources. And everybody's least resources are limited. It doesn't matter if you're in the top part of the K or the bottom part of the K. Everybody feels the same way. I know plenty of people in the top part of the K and they feel broke. It's just how it is if you're in fiat land. As soon as you get on hard money and something stable, your life is going to change like you can't imagine. So I hate to say it, it comes down to maturity, I think, in a lot of cases, but like God love, G Money's daughter, he's right. Number go up is paramount. And this comes back to something Mars says. Yeah, it is. But if I'm right, number is going to go up indefinitely. It's not about me, sorry. If the production cost is what I think it is and how that pushes through time, the number is going to go up. It's no longer just an equation that Giovanni discovered. Like it kind of pointed us to what this is. But change your life by taking control of your situation, whatever that is. And I don't think, so it's a maturity thing. If G Money's daughter is mature enough now to start to understand these things, he'll learn from, she'll learn from him, and that'll be great because that switch will go off. But it's just a question of when that switch goes off for someone. So you can't help someone that isn't willing to help
I'm
themselves.
in trouble.
Sorry.
I'm in trouble, Terrence.
Kudo.
Did
What
he just
happened?
talk about maturity 3 different times right there?
Yeah, he was
I'm
referencing you
screwed.
clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whose hand was next.
Etne, I think, and then Kudo.
Okie dokie.
Okay, Terrence, when I get to Santa Monica, we're going to sit down and I'm going to teach you how to pronounce my name correctly.
I can't pronounce your name. Save myself.
Terrence drinks 1 Coors Light per night, just so you know.
Fact.
Cheat
ATN.
date. Cheat
ATN.
date. ATM, like ATM, but different.
Oh, I got
Exactly.
it. Thank
Exactly.
you.
But just don't treat me like an ATM, like my kids do. So speaking of kids, I may have shared this before, but what I did with them, uh, as far as orange pilling went, was and fortunately for me and for them, it was, oh gosh, I guess the summer 22. So prices were a little nicer than they are now. But basically, I told them, hey, you guys need to start buying Bitcoin and buy it for 2 years, and then we'll sit down. And if you decide Bitcoin's not for you, keep a spreadsheet of what day you bought it, how much you bought, what you paid for it. I will buy it all back from you. And so they basically had a get out of jail free card at that point.
Lauren just DM'd me. He'd like to be included in that.
Please include me.
So November of 24 is when the 2 year time frame lapsed, and of course at that point they looked at me like I had two heads when I said, "Okay, I'm writing out a check. I want your Bitcoin," and because what I told them was I would pay them exactly what they paid for it plus 5% just to compensate them for interest. And they looked at me like, no way. So, but by then they've been, either smash buying or dollar cost averaging for 2 years. And it was a habit at that point. Now, one of my sons did fall into the sports gambling trap and whatnot. I don't know if he used Kalshi or what other, I think. Anyway, and he got off to a good start. He was doing okay, but then over time, his initial huge winnings that he made were being siphoned off, as they typically do. And I had to, sit down. I mean, he's an adult; he can do what he wants. But I'm like, I just don't like seeing people fall into that gambling or alcoholism trap. And I just said, look, if you have that energy into it, there's just every time you get the urge to make a $50 or a $200 bet on some sports team or whatever, buy Bitcoin with it. And it took a while, but I think he's been what's the word? Sober, I guess, for 3 months now. He hasn't made any sports bets, and he's been buying Bitcoin instead of placing those bets. So if the reason they're doing that is either they want to get ahead or they just want to think that's the only way in their generation that they can accumulate any kind of money, then just try to redirect that sense of I don't know, playfulness, or gambling. You can call investing in stocks gambling or whatever, towards Bitcoin,
Brilliant. Yeah.
and see where it goes from there. That's
So
just a
when
tip.
Terrence gets his $140 urges to get a trailer park hooker in Ohio, put that money towards Bitcoin instead, Terrence.
Yeah, what was that? The 49ers CEO or something? That was just
Owner.
crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
$140. I don't know that that's the top
Yeah, come
quality.
on, man.
That's not top
Yeah.
shelf.
You're not going to come out of that deal with anything you want to keep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my 2 cents. And and the other thing too
Thanks, Etienne.
when, is when they see that you're willing to buy it back from them, then they see your conviction too, and that kind of rubs off on them.
All right, I think we had Crudo and then back to Chad.
Kudos to you.
Edney, that's a cool deal you did with your kids, man. Good job on that.
Etienne.
I like that. I don't know if I pronounced your name right, but
ATN.
that's
Etienne.
very cool. Yeah. So hey, back to what Chodl was talking about. The idea was that Bitcoin kind of serves as a ladder for lower income in the U.S. I Bob Vandekirk on Bitcoin Veterans yesterday was talking about how when this move happened last week for Bitcoin's Google search terms by nation started hitting number one in El Salvador, Nigeria, and some other countries. And in the US, it was, I think, 20. But, just that kind of the idea works globally too, right? That Bitcoin is really it helps people really anywhere across the globe kind of climb that ladder, which to me was what I was telling him was just makes me so incredibly bullish on Bitcoin because of how decentralized it is in both in its security protocol, right? The mining that's across the globe, but then also that anyone can access Bitcoin across the globe, right? So in Nigeria can grab Bitcoin, but it might be hard for them to get access to like an AI tech stock in the US. And so it just makes me bullish in that sense that global accumulation's happening and it might really sneak up on us in terms of like price appreciation. So
I don't know if you are looking at Google search term trends
Is this
in the
TC?
year 2026. I think you're
Oh,
missing the plot a little bit.
welcome to the stage, TC. It's great
Oh
to
yeah, we
hear
need
from you.
like AI
Yeah.
prompt term.
Show me AI prompt term data. That would be a little bit more informative.
Thank you for that
Chad,
valuable insight, TC.
it
Seriously
is
though, like
valuable.
how often are you going to
Yeah,
Google yourself and doing searches and
true.
versus going to an AI and asking?
Hmm. I
So,
concur.
a couple things. ATN, first of all, congratulations to your kids. When was it that you had them by? What you said in 22, but when?
December
1964.
2022.
December of 22. Okay, so December 22. So
Um,
40s. Yeah, it's
yeah, it was like November 22 to November 24.
very cool. So my point is, it's just we are in such a great value zone, in my opinion. Everybody knows last Wednesday I, hit my big red button, for lack of a better term that I have, and that was it. But TC, I wanted to thank you for some of your comments yesterday about and it was Mr. Hoddle too that brought up some really good points that I don't think we can highlight enough. Which is, you guys basically had the message that what matters is that we do activity on chain, not whether it's as a medium of exchange or if you're bringing money in to store it as value on chain again, or sorry, in cold storage, but doing the transaction on chain. And I think that importance is something we don't talk about enough. And I also feel that you're spot on. It would be really cool to see the AI search data, but I don't. Does anybody know how we get that?
Well, okay, a couple things. First, in regards to this whole like market and price discussion, and you just used the term value something, value zone or something like that. I was just the other day with a friend looking at a chart, and it's really pretty simple. If you can get one of these charting websites. I use Trading Views sometimes. I think you can get free accounts on there. You just have to dismiss ads every once in a while. But you pull up a chart of Bitcoin's price and you add the 200-week moving average. 200 weeks is just short of 4 calendar years, and it's kind of funny. I heard you guys discussing the 4 year cycle concept versus the halving cycle, and the halvings are averaging less than 4 years these days. So anyone who's trying to stick too firmly to calendar years already is sort of fighting the trend. But what's important is if you look at the price averaged over 4 years, just add a little line to the chart that's the 200-week average, and you'll see every single time it has dipped down and either touched it or gone below it, that has been basically the depths of the bear market. That has been basically the best opportunities over that span of time to ape in, so to speak. And so it's fairly simple. What I don't like about talking about price too much, and I don't like about talking about these cycles of price too much, is I think it encourages people to think with a trading framework. That's not the point. The point is you should be accumulating. You'll hear lots of people who FUD Bitcoin's price saying, oh, look, it hasn't gone anywhere in 5 years. Oh, it was 69, 5 years ago, and it's 69 now. That's totally missing the point. The point is if you actually accumulate over time, because nobody's just aping in their entire net worth at one point. The reality is if you're buying over time, DCA is a term that gets thrown around, but that is actually a very specific, really regimented buying over time. Most people are just buying as they have free capital to use. But if you are buying over time, you're typically going to be cost averaging a lot lower, and anyone who's been doing that over even say the last 5 years has actually done really well and is actually up significantly even at the lows of this most recent dip, around 60K. So the point is just, you can use the price metrics to kind of give yourself just a general feeling of, I think of it almost like seasons. If you just think of like the bull markets and the bear markets, there's the season to be, like maybe buying less when it's just going frenetic and everybody's getting euphoric, and when everybody's totally bummed out and thinking Bitcoin's died again and blood in the streets and everybody's worrying about our next drop down to 40K. Those are typically the times you can, feel really confident just going in larger size. Anyways, the point is that don't overcomplicate anything. Every model is bullshit at a certain point. If you just look at it as sort of rhythm and oscillation, look at that chart with just a 200-week moving average and it just jumps out at you, like hit like a watermelon hitting you in the head. You would have clearly
That
seen
that
that the
hurts.
last month or two is just a phenomenal time to be, going in. And the point is obviously, this is not a short-term prospect or a trade. This is something that you're going to want to hold long time, and you really do only see the benefits of it after you've been holding for more than one of these cycles. It's when you get into your second and third cycle and you've seen a couple halvings go by, the entire feeling of all of this changes because your cost average, if you have been buying over time, is going to be significantly lower than even the lowest of the bear markets, and you're going to be reaching that feeling of a bit of more comfort. Whereas people who just are in recently or are still within a trading framework are really uncomfortable and nervous and anxious about what move to make next. So, anyways, that's my thoughts on the price thing.
TC, I was just going to point out a post that Tiffany put up in the nest that is basically, it's wicked. And he's saying those who started DCAing at this point are now in profit. This is obviously measured in
Yeah,
US
no,
dollars, but it
it's
validates what you're
incredible.
saying.
You
Yeah,
just shift the framework and everything changes. So
for sure.
stop looking for the trade and just start thinking about long-term accumulation and holding, and that really changes the whole thing. And then real quick, I just did want to comment on the other thing, Chottle, that you said, which was um, the yesterday there was a space, and Mr. Huddle was definitely talking about it's important that everybody transacts on chain, or that we always have significant transacting on chain. My point was a little bit more nuanced, which is the Bitcoin, and to be clear, context wise, I was trying to respond to the people that were saying Bitcoin's captured, it's centralized, it's kind of broken in a way. My point is, as long as anyone has the ability to run the code, anyone has the ability to mine Bitcoin, anyone has the ability to create wallets and transact permissionlessly on chain, then that's the evidence that you need that actually we still have a decentralized system, and Bitcoin
T-
is what we
TC,
what we hoped it was.
just for clarity, it was for economic reasons, is why Mr. Huddle was saying we need, activity, correct? Funding the
No,
miners.
I mean his point is much more just sort of existential,
Okay,
in the sense that if you go to an extreme and you don't see anybody transacting on chain, Bitcoin is dead at that point. Like that
gotcha.
was his point. And the nature of the conversation was about, people worried that Bitcoin has been captured. Bitcoin is now proven to be overly centralized. It's a little bit of the sort of aftermath and post-mortem thoughts around BIP 110 and what happened there.
Right,
But to me, I'm trying to offer a different perspective. I think that what happened with BIP 110 is actually clear evidence that we have a decentralized system, and
for
that if you
sure.
just look at Bitcoin through the lens of, if you can download it, if you can mine, if you can create wallets and transact permissionlessly, that is all the evidence that you need to clear up that entire topic. We have a
Right,
decentralized system. It's complex and nuanced, but it's very simple to just look at those functionalities, those actions, and these are all things that you as an individual can verify for yourself. You can download the code and run it. You can mine if you want to, you can create wallets, you can transact permissionlessly. As long as all that's still happening, the rest of it's noise as far as I'm concerned.
For sure. We got a
Speak,
lot of speakers that want to speak. We're going to get Etienne in
well,
here real quick, and
speaking,
then
yeah.
Dark, and hopefully we get Fred before he goes and runs off to make a sandwich. Go ahead, Etienne.
Speaking of downloading, everybody needs to go to the App Store and download the Time Chain Calendar app that TC created and subscribe to it. And then you can watch it every second of the day. Promotional
Dark.
promotional ad ending.
Free promo for TC's wonderful app, Time Chain Calendar. Dark side.
Yeah, I was going to change the subject, so I
Wah,
don't know
wah,
if
wah. No, it's fine. Go ahead.
yeah, just to kind of go back to what's going on a macro scale. Really interesting article written by Stan Druckenmiller, um, commenting on his former
The AI article, right? Dark side.
it seemed a little AI-ish, but no,
Yeah.
it definitely focusing on his former employee Scott Bessent. And look, I think there's a really important takeaway from that article, which is that these higher bond market yields that we've been seeing, they act as a way to impose fiscal discipline on Washington D.C. And what Bessent is doing by talking down the bond market and threatening the bond market with purchases and Operation Twist and lowering long term yields, what it does is it distorts the ability to get market pricing, like for the free market to determine what's best, right? That's what Bitcoin does, right? Bitcoin is a free market. But ultimately, there's going to be consequences for trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to uh, stop Washington D.C. from gaining any fiscal discipline. Because if you let long-term rates go higher, right, then the ability to borrow the money just becomes untenable, and you have to cut spending and you have to cut fraud. But what Bessent's doing is enabling the wrongdoers, enabling Congress to spend out of control, enabling the system to run at levels that are unsustainable. So I just think I'll retweet that Druckenmiller article, and then Matt Cole did a really good piece on it that I'll retweet. Um, but everyone should give it a read because it really makes you think twice, right? You begin to gain an understanding of what are the consequences of all of these interventions, and specifically intervening in the U.S. bond market. Anyway, I'll land the plane there because I could go on and nerd out about it, but I just think it's very interesting.
Should we say hello to Fred?
Yeah, catch him before he
Yo,
runs off.
Terrence. Yeah, to Dark's point, I feel like what both Sailor and Basant are doing is they're trying to create this idea that the product that they're selling, in particular for Sailor, it's STRC, and for Basant, it's long bonds, right? They're trying to create the idea that there's more demand than there actually is. And that the price should be higher, the yield lower, right? So Sailor's trying to convince people, yeah, that STRC is so great, and in order to issue more STRC, he's buying up the existing STRC. So his narrative is, yeah, we're going to buy it up until it goes to par, and then we're going to issue more. And Besant's narrative is, yeah, we're gonna issue more bonds, but first we're going to buy up like $1 trillion worth of bonds, or up to $1 trillion worth of bonds, so we can get the yields down, prices up, and then we'll issue more bonds. Now, if you think about it, that's just a crazy idea in both cases.
Yeah, 100%, Fred. And look, what comes along with these interventions, whether it's Sailor or Bessent, is you're daring the market to call your bluff, right? And that's usually not a good idea. Um, and I suspect it won't be a good idea this time because look, you're going to get these short squeezes in the bond market with all the jaw boning, but eventually the rubber's going to meet the road, and he's going to have to use part of that or all of that $1 trillion, right? And same
I
thing with
mean,
Sailor.
the minute that we have an extra auction, what is a bond auction? It's us selling more long-term paper, right? So we're going to go buy long-term paper now, and then the next auction in a week or two, we're going to start selling more paper. So you can see the unsustainability of this entire operation, right? Like it just doesn't work.
Kudo.
Hey, Dark, I got a question for you. Do you think at this point it'd be fair to say that the goals of the Treasury and the Fed are now kind of at odds with each other? So you've got Bessent buying back bonds, trying to push yields down because he wants cheaper debt so they can fund the government. And then if you take Warsh at his word, Warsh at least has been saying they're committed to 2% inflation, so they need yields higher in order to get that. I mean, how do you see? Because you kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, kind of what's coming up with Jackson Hole. It just made me. I was thinking about. I was like, man, are these guys kind of like opposed to each other at this point in some sense, at least over policy? What do you think?
But we don't know, right? I don't. I suspect they're not, at least from Warsh's perspective. Now, remember, Warsh is in the minority on the Fed while being the Fed leader. So again, we don't know what the Fed's going to do. Um, and Warsh's vote is canceled by Powell's vote, who's still on the Fed open market committee. So who knows? Who knows what's going on at the Fed versus what's going on at the Treasury? But look, Fred's hitting the nail on the head, which is, once your bluff is called, and you have to go out and spend the money. What if it doesn't work? What if your plan doesn't work, and now all of a sudden $1 trillion is gone, the TGA's empty, and bond yields are going higher, right? So remember, like these types of kind of at edge policies always have the risk of failing. So you just have to look from a Bitcoin perspective. Who gives a rat's ass what these people do? But ultimately, as an American, I care, and I don't want to see policy failures. I don't want to see things break. So we'll see where it goes. But it's every time you do something like this, you're taking risk, right? It's like if I told you to cross a 6-lane highway at rush hour, you'd look at me and say, well, there's probably a 50% chance I'm going to get hit by a car. I'm not going to do that. But if you're crossing a 2-lane road with no traffic, you'll walk across the road without thinking twice. So what you're doing is you're assessing risk, right? Well, we as participants in the system, we have to assess what is the risk of these policies. And in Saylor's case, that's even a weirder one because he's outright losing money to go ahead and try to juice the price of STRC. Maybe it works. Like Saylor could get bailed out here by the price of Bitcoin, but maybe it doesn't work. Who knows? Again, it's all about assessing the risk in the system.
Trump,
Hey, Dark,
Trump has the
with the
greatest
TG.
plan ever, Dark. Okay, just chill out, bro.
There it
Take
is,
a
Lauren
shot. Take
Trump.
a shot.
Yep,
Look,
Drink
shot
your
it,
bourbon
everybody.
today, everybody.
I put something in the nest, right? Where he like the media's asking him all these questions about like, this is the Iran example, but like to think that this stuff hasn't been planned out when Trump rolled the Fed into the Treasury back in 2020, he then surrounded his entire administration with Bitcoin maxis. Like, I don't see how you can't like understand that this is all being done on purpose. Like it's not a panic. It's literally throwing the central bankers, the entire financial system out of their normal sync. And it's giving the treasury the go ahead to fricking drive this train. And so it seems to me that that's pretty apparent and that these things have already been planned out and that it's a military operation, Dark.
Well, maybe. Again, maybe, but you're taking a lot of risk. Look, Trump also told us that, the Epstein files don't matter and that who cares about Epstein? I care. I want to see criminals go to jail. None have. Who went to jail after 0809 when trillions of dollars were burned, literally burned to the ground? Nobody. So look, G Money, accountability matters, right? And if you want to be taken seriously, you have to be accountable. So until like I see real accountability coming out of the Trump administration, call me skeptical.
So,
I know you want to believe. I know you do. And I think
well, here's the thing.
I
Like,
think we all do. We'd all love to see him be successful. But so far, this war in Iran's been an absolute joke. And by the way, raising interest rates, back to Kudo, that's not going to fix the supply of oil. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I agree.
well, I mean, I think we need to understand that all war is based on deception. And that if you look at even the other thing I put in there in the nest about the psyopers in our military, and you understand that every war that we've ever had has always been a banker's war, and that now instead of like focusing on Iran having a nuclear weapon, we've honed in on directly calling out the shadow banking and the money laundering, which I think is an interesting boomerang or at least side turn in this entire war. So I think Trump is going after the heart of the central banking cartel through the Zionists, City of London, whoever's washing money through Iran. That's the main goal of this entire war.
All right, well then he'll have to go to the Vatican and blow them up too. But look, I just don't buy it, man. Trump's been, screaming, "We can't let them have a nuclear weapon." Well, they didn't have a nuclear weapon, right? Like we can't let them control the strait. Well, they didn't control the strait, but now they do. So, look, results matter, and you're going to have to look and see how this plays out. I want you to be right, G Money. I want the IRS abolished. I want everything you say to happen. But so far, you know, the only thing we've gotten is a new head of the Fed who spent time on Epstein's island, and none of the criminals being held accountable, and it's just one gigantic mess from my perspective.
Controlled implosion, kind of like World Trade Center 7, right?
And who went to jail for killing 3,000 Americans on 9/11? And the magical passport that showed up on the top of the burning heap?
Well, if you have control of the people that are on Epstein Island through the blackmail and you now have control over them at the Fed, then maybe Trump is actually directing their actions, right? And so, like,
Maybe.
I think we need to understand. Like, we're not in the skiffs, you guys. We're not in the military bunkers. We're not directing any of this stuff. Trump's talking about using the military to control the bond markets and all this other. Like, every single thing points to this entire banking thing as a controlled demolition, right? And if you can control like little explosions in the financial system, which it seems like is happening, versus a major catastrophic one, these are manageable in a way that you can direct new policy and transition the entire world. So I think what we're seeing is little controlled implosions, explosions, whatever you want to call it, to further along this Bitcoin transition.
Well, maybe, but you can also consider that the guy that ran some Miss Teen USA beauty pageant might have been on Epstein's island. I think that's probably a better take on the situation. So maybe he's not using the Epstein Island information to go after these people. Maybe he's using it to protect himself. Who knows? We don't know.
Wade on in here, Wade.
We forgot to include Epstein as one of the drinking words for G Money
Right?
today,
I know.
Lauren.
I thought we were going to have
That was
fun.
dark
I
side.
can't
I
take
didn't
too
even
many more.
mention it.
No, you said Epstein twice, and you said Trump 7 times.
I'm
I've had 7 beers
yeah, I'm
already.
messed up, man. I can't take too many more shots. Go ahead, Wade.
I just wanted to say, in regards to the military bunkers, there are no military bunkers effectively in the entire CENTCOM theater. That's why Kuwait Gulf Link Logistics and Naval Support Activity Bahrain are no longer functioning. And it looks like we were pushed out because we were retarded and we didn't prepare accordingly, not because we actually did any type of military planning. So I think there's a potential here that we're looking at a lack of planning, not a genius 5D level plan.
Hey, I was going to ask Dark or Fred or one of you guys who were talking about the TGA, the Treasury's general account. When they said $1 trillion, weren't they just sort of flexing like, look, we have $1 trillion in the account, but not saying we're going to spend that much in bond buybacks? Or did I miss that?
Didn't I say we're willing to spend even more, whatever it takes?
Really? Okay, so I missed that part. I thought they were just saying, "Look, our account is flush. We've got $1 trillion, to get
Yeah,
the yield
I thought they were
down."
like
Well,
poker bluffing and like, yeah, man, we'll do whatever it takes. Go ahead,
and
Dark.
that's right. They're poker bluffing. The problem with bluffing is somebody might have aces, and then they call your bluff, and now what do? Now you're really put behind the eight ball because you're chasing the inside straight, and you can call and now go keep chasing. You might hit the straight, or you might get wiped out. But bluffing's risky. So it goes back to assessing risk. I agree. I don't think he has any intention of spending $1 trillion. And I think the market has every intention of seeing him spend $1 trillion. So I think we're going to get to that moment.
British just DM'd me. He said there's too many dancing grandpas right now on stage. I don't know what he meant by that, but he does have a nice suit. He's got $1,200 glasses. So Lauren, you need to play the big Bitcoin
In
song.
a spot OT. I'm actually on an exercise machine at the moment and have no access to the big Bitcoin song.
So you have to sing it, Lauren.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you
We hear you,
now.
British.
Oh, awesome. I didn't
Why are
DM
you
him
so
that.
why are you so bearish,
He's
British?
in bed. His
You should
wife
be
is trying to
excited.
sleep next to him, so he's trying to whisper.
No, you should be bullish.
I'm extremely bullish.
By the way, I think it's now time to call out British. British, you've been so based and you fumbled the ball today, buddy. Putting out
On what?
fake
On what?
news about the treasure phishing attack, that's not a hack, man. Like, why are you spreading fake news, man? Come on.
No, I didn't say it was hack. I didn't say it was a. Did I use the word hack?
I mean, you inferred it was a hack, bro. Come on.
Oh, okay. So I didn't use the word hack. So a friend of mine, basically, he's 24 years old. He's got 1.4 Bitcoin, and he got a phishing attack. And he lost his Bitcoin because he stupidly put his seed phrase into a website. Now, of course, he shouldn't have done that. Of course, he should have known better. But he also has a portion of his Bitcoin in IBIT, and that's completely safe. In case anyone was wondering.
Couldn't you be phished by IBIT just technically in a sense? Couldn't you get an email and say, "Hey,
Yes,
go here,"
actually,
You
and
need to
The Robinhood
immediately
phishing
sell your
emails are out there
Bitcoin.
too. Robinhood fishes emails as
I-
well.
yeah, I understand your point,
Immediately
British, but
sell your IBIT. Here,
well, who knows? Hey, you got
give
to
us a
move it over
passphrase
here
so we
for
can immediately sell
security
your IBIT.
G
reasons.
Money referred to it as being outmaneuvered, not hacked or.
Well, it wouldn't be a passphrase with IBIT. It would just be log into your account and you have to move
But
it
G
over
Money,
British
more
is just
I
secure.
was
afraid to
not.
say that
Quantum secure ETF.
British is just afraid to
I
call his
tried
buddy a
to.
fucking idiot.
I don't know who
No, I
said
did.
it in
I called him that.
yesterday's speech, but they said every phone call, every text, every email, just treat it
It's a
as if
threat
it's
right
poison,
now.
a threat. Yeah.
100%. I completely agree. I got socially engineered like 6 weeks ago with a Bitcoin OG, and the conversation that they used was exactly a conversation that I was having on Clubhouse, which is basically like spaces. So imagine, someone sitting here that I know listens to this conversation, and then your account gets hacked, and then you start talking about that, or your hacked account starts talking about, whatever we were talking about. Like it's super easy. I had to get rid of the laptop completely.
Well, you're in
Which,
Dubai,
by the
right,
way,
British?
I would not right now, but yeah, what I would do if anyone does get hacked like that, like I went through ChatGPT to try to like fix the laptop or whatever, but unfortunately, accept it as terms of doing business and just get a new device.
Hey, Pubby's on here. I just want to go on record as being someone who is able to use the term puppy and not be offended by it.
Who
I see
gets triggered by
Jace.
Pubby?
What's up, Jace? You want to jump in here?
Jace,
I
long time, buddy.
hey yeah, how you doing, guys? I don't have any comment on what's been said, but I did have something else that I've been thinking about lately. If you want me to throw in another topic.
Well, we don't know what you're thinking about, so how do we know?
Yeah,
You have to
and
tell
before
us.
you do, I think we should change Pubby's name from Pubby to Wagon Master. Pubby really isn't apropos anymore. Go ahead, Chase. Change the subject.
So I've been thinking a lot. I've been trying to catch up with the spaces. I haven't been able to be to listen live lately, but I was listening to a space the other day that was talking about how is, in our lives, has anything decreased in price? Because ultimately we're supposed to, things are supposed to get cheaper with AI and with Bitcoin. And of course, televisions have definitely gotten cheaper. But how long do you guys think it'll be before we see other things get cheaper? I guess if you're on a Bitcoin standard, it's already getting cheaper. But do you think that if there's this parallel system, do you think things will start to get cheaper for everybody, or
21
is
months.
everybody
21 months.
okay?
Well, I think you already answered it, Jay. So in Bitcoin terms, in general, over the long run, it does get cheaper if Bitcoin is your unit of account. I don't think in fiat terms things will ever get cheaper. There's just no reason to.
Unless they're trying to push something like the television.
Well, yeah, but they just shift it from one product or one sector to another. That's the thing. They're just playing musical chairs. But then it's like, oh, your salmon's cheaper, but now your beef costs more.
So going back to Jeff Booth's book, so ultimately what he's saying is that on a Bitcoin standard, it's gonna get cheaper, but from what you're saying, on a fiat standard, we're never going to get cheaper.
No. And no, the dollar's just not going to hold enough value to, it's like who's going to in fiat terms, who would lower their prices?
Right.
Them just staying the same is sort of lowering their prices.
And along that same line, I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and I didn't have an answer, and I wondered what you guys would think. In a future where people are paid in a depreciating price atmosphere, do you think that people would accept lower salaries? I mean, what kind of mind shift would we have to where, if everything's getting cheaper in Bitcoin standard, would you accept less Bitcoin for the work that you do or the things that you sell because Bitcoin is appreciating in value?
Well, think about this. Think how this is a weird sort of mind fuck because we're
Yeah,
not used to
right.
it in the fiat world. But imagine if we are on a Bitcoin standard, and imagine if you are getting paid in Bitcoin, and imagine when a year is up and it's time for review, you sit down, and the negotiation from your employer is begging you to to
Accept less
to
Bitcoin.
just well, yeah, not only to accept less, but just to even stay the same.
Right.
Because it's sort of a given. Like you're going to want to stay the same, which will be more purchasing power, more future spending ability for you. But so the negotiation is the opposite. You're not asking for more; they're asking for you just to please stay the same,
Or take less.
or to take less, because taking less is still much more for them in purchasing power.
Yeah.
And it's just the opposite of what we thought. And extending that a little further, because Bitcoin is 24/7, and because you're legally owed for all of the work you perform. Imagine you have an app where you're getting Bitcoin every second or every minute.
Right.
So you're not having to wait this 2-week period and having to navigate and juggle cash flow, but it's just you open your app and there it is, and you can see the Bitcoin coming in as blocks are settled. And so then you have your money. You're not having to get a payday loan or whatever your cash flow situation is. But it's just something I've thought about. Like if we ever do get to that point, and I don't know if we ever will or if that's 100 years away, but it's kind of cool to think about.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, just because it's reverse of what we think of on a fiat standard. That's
But you
really
guys
all.
I
I
think
think
you're
the
making the
interesting.
argument for the store of value people that say Bitcoin can't be used as money until it's a little bit more stable?
I think there's plenty of people in this space that are already using Bitcoin as money. I mean,
Well,
Terrence.
Fred, I didn't
I
hear
do
what.
too, but I'm just thinking about from the salary point of view where you're talking about where and we were applying the old standards of, hey, sit down with your boss or whoever once a year and evaluate stuff and say, okay, am I going to get my 2.5, 3.5% raise this year, blah, blah, blah. If, like Terrence was saying, if you're getting paid every hour or every minute in small chunks of sats, maybe that frequency of the evaluation period changes too, so that you don't have to deal with such a drastic thing to say, keep your salary the same or lower it or whatever.
Or even more to the point where it's not necessarily a salary, but you are paid for the work that you do. So you do some work and you get paid for
Oh,
that
we're going
work.
back to the Industrial Revolution. We're going to do
Yep.
piecework again.
Yeah. Yep.
Fred, you were jumping in there. I think
Yeah,
we
I
talked
think
over you.
look, I've been thinking about these things for a while now, and one of the interesting questions is, what does a long-term loan or a mortgage look like when there's only one currency called Bitcoin. So you buy a house, let's say you buy the house for 10 Bitcoin, right? And you owe on the house 1 Bitcoin per year. You own 10% in Bitcoin terms, right? That's your mortgage. Or you have a 5% Bitcoin mortgage. What does that do?
Right, get
to
with the program, man. Get with the program. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. There's nothing that's going to be. Nobody's going to own a house anymore or a car. It's all either going to be rented, robo taxis, what have you. I don't know how housing is going to work, but and I'm being a little facetious.
Yeah, I guess another way to think about that, Fred, is if you take out a Bitcoin loan, what if you take out a Bitcoin loan, but you have to pay it back in Bitcoin?
That's
And
what I'm
someone
saying.
says,
That's saying that there's no dollars here in the mix, right?
right. So in a sense, that's well, if there's no dollars, in a sense, that's not a good loan, right? Unless I'm missing something. Let's say, wow, here's a fantastic 2% mortgage, but you have to pay it back in Bitcoin terms. Well, if in Bitcoin terms, less and less Bitcoin is worth more and more and more, 2% is going to start to be significant on a 30-year loan. I mean, huge, right? Or what am I? Or
Yeah,
but then
but yet, if you want to start, let's just say you have some business venture that you're starting. Well, you need a loan, right, to do it. You need a loan to engage in your business venture. Okay, great. So you're going to borrow at, let's say, 2%, for your business venture. And then the question is, um, what's the chance that you're going to be able to even repay this 2% on your loan? Well, I'd say there may actually be, the rate might even be higher. It might be 10% because the chance of you even making this loan, paying back the principal, seems low in many cases, right? So it's an interesting thought experiment.
So how about this? There is no interest on a Bitcoin loan. You just pay back how much Bitcoin you initially borrowed in some kind of
Well,
an increment.
why would I, as a lender, lend you the Bitcoin at zero
Because
interest?
you
There's
know you're
no,
going to get paid back in Bitcoin over time. That's going to be
yeah,
worth
but
more
yeah,
than
but
it
why
is
not
today.
then just keep your Bitcoin?
right. So the only way I'm lending you my Bitcoin is to get more Bitcoin back
Or
later.
philanthropic or something.
So I think this is
Or
very
you could
similar.
also.
I think
So you're
this is
telling me this
similar
whole
to
Bitcoin thing's not going to work?
No, it'll work.
it'll work. I mean,
Debt markets
this
will
is
continue on a Bitcoin standard. It just it's just the cost of capital goes up. It's just that your choice of what to do with that capital, you have a higher barrier for success, right? So like you need to outperform Bitcoin, and that's all it really is. It's that
right.
debt is no
Yeah,
longer
exactly,
cheap; it's
Morris.
more
So
expensive. Yeah.
look, I think this is very similar to where finance was during the Medicis, right? So at that point, they made loans in gold. Gold was appreciating, very rare, you didn't have a lot of gold mines back then. There wasn't the Inca type gold mines. That was much later. So gold was the super rare thing, and you could get loans in gold, and you sometimes would have to pay it back in 10%. Now, in actual gold terms, like I give you 10,000 florins as I'm going to lend you, but you give me uh, you know,
11,000.
11,000 back. You know, now, uh, how would that? Who would take such a loan? Well, an army invading a neighboring province, would take that loan, right? So people would finance kind of wars and things like that with these kind of high rates of interest, and it's so that kind of merchant finance actually did exist for hundreds of years. And so I think we may be going back to that. And that's something like where strategy might actually have a very big business model, right? Like, Bitcoin is now the thing that people want to borrow because that's the real hard currency. And the people who can lend the Bitcoin for more Bitcoin would be strategy. They could lend it.
I'm thinking the whole
See, I
Bitcoin
have a
loan
slight, I
thing's
have a slight,
not going to take off until
yeah,
people's earning in Bitcoin.
look, I have a slightly different take, right? And along the Medici line, um, you could loan somebody Bitcoin and then take equity in whatever you're loaning for. So you're loaning for a house. I now own 10% of your house, and then you can buy that back from me with Bitcoin. But remember, gold's inflationary. Even back then, it was inflationary, and Bitcoin's not. So I don't see Bitcoin loans. I know Fred and I have debated this in the past. I don't see Bitcoin loans coming with Bitcoin interest. I see Bitcoin loans either coming out of love inside of a family or community or coming with equity in whatever I'm loaning for. So you're starting a business, I'll loan you Bitcoin, but I own some percentage of your business. And at a later date, you could buy that business, that percentage back from me with Bitcoin. But of course, that's a good deal for you because it becomes cheaper to buy that business back over time because prices are always falling in Bitcoin terms. So that's kind of how I see it playing out. I know that's a little bit different, but I don't see the traditional, I'm going to loan you 10 Bitcoin, you're going to pay me back 11 Bitcoin, because at scale, that doesn't work. Sure, it works on a small scale. But if you think about it on a global scale, on global finance, there's just not enough Bitcoin to pay the
It
interest.
works. It just requires creative destruction. And without a lender of last resort, you will have failures when the failures exist. Dark. It works. It works at scale.
It works at scale because not all loans get repaid. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin breaks, right? We still have 21 million Bitcoin, and some of the loans will fail. So
There'll be a lot of defaults, I would
a lot
assume.
of defaults,
Yeah.
but that's okay. That's creative destruction. I mean,
So the
that's
interest rate just goes way, way up. You were right. I was thinking it needs to go down, but it actually needs to go up.
But then the
Yes, but
default
there are
I mean, I'm
still,
rate
not lending
increases.
somebody.
but there
I'm
are
not
still,
lending somebody. Let's just take a real example. Somebody says, "Hey, Fred, I want you to lend me 10 Bitcoin, which I've got. Happy. I'm going to lend you. I want you to borrow 10 Bitcoin, and I'll pay you back in Bitcoin." Fred, what would you do that interest rate at right now? I would be like, well, it's going to be a high number, that of, in Bitcoin. Why? Because I don't think you're necessarily going to pay me back. I think I'm just debating whether you're going to actually make my return me my 10 Bitcoin. So I would
so,
say something like, sure, I'll take 15% plus I want to lien on all your property, or something like that.
Have you
so
guys
And
I
seen
know
even
that,
then,
Davina?
I may not do it for 30 years. I mean, I may be like, okay, 5 years, and I want to lien on all your property, and I want 10% in Bitcoin. That would be kind of my terms for lending you 10 Bitcoin.
That's too messy. So I know this whole Bitcoin lending thing is a pretty new industry and stuff. But do you think it's probable that it will disappear when fiat becomes less and less a part of the economy? Because to me, it really only works when they both coexist. If we're just on 100% Bitcoin, I don't think the lending thing really flies.
Well, no, I mean, look, Etienne, you're right. Like, but we're gonna be coexisting with Bitcoin for the rest of our lives, right?
Right.
It's unlikely that we have a Bitcoin only economy in the next 30 years, I would say. Very unlikely. So, however, we may have a dual economy where, you know, people are what's very similar to like a country like Botswana or, Argentina, right? Where you can there you can buy things in local currency. I can't the Botswana dollar. I think they have. You can use the Botswana dollar, but you can also use black market tether or something, right? So I feel like that's kind of where we're going to be in 10 years, 20 years. Everything's going to be available in dollars, but the dollar's going to be pretty inflationary, and people are going to be like, shit, I don't want more dollars. If I get them, I'm going to move them into Bitcoin immediately, right? And I feel, or people are like, just like, give me pure discount Bitcoin, I'll give you a discount. That's I think where we're going to be. And I think people are going to be, look, I just don't want any dollars. Like, give me. I'm a kind of a Bitcoin only shop. That seems likely to me.
Well, Fred, and we'll go to you in a second, Anon. There's a product, Fred, I think you actually know about it, at loanmycoins.com, where they will lend you Bitcoin at 5% fixed rate, but it's all on a Bitcoin standard. And so that's where it sort of messes with your brain, which is how we started this conversation, because wow, 5% loan on my Bitcoin, that sounds incredible, but you have to pay it back in Bitcoin. So unless you know that you're in a sideways market or even a bear market, which, it's really, to me, doesn't benefit you in fiat terms, because you're having to pay quite a bit more, even though it's only 5%. But that one's
Well, it's good if you want to short Bitcoin, right? That's
right.
exactly.
That's exactly it. All right. Sorry, Anon.
Yeah, all good. Fred, there's a product out there from a company called Cadena, and I've been keeping my eye on them, trying to understand the incentives around using it. But they allow you to lend Bitcoin using a DLC, discrete log contract, to someone else, and it pays back 10 to 12% in Bitcoin. It's settled using an oracle, like an AI oracle that looks at the price at the time of settlement, and you're paid out at that amount. So obviously, depending on the price, you make more or less in BTC terms. But the reason for the borrower to do it is fuzzy to me, because it gives them quote unquote synthetic exposure to Bitcoin. They don't ever actually hold your keys. They don't have the coins. Why would they even want that?
Yeah, I don't know about that product, Anon, but also, what kind of collateral are people doing for that kind of loan? I don't really understand the structure even. So maybe you can explain that.
My understanding is you just send your Bitcoin to the DLC. It's just an address where everything goes, and it's locked until the time of settlement. And then once it settles, you get your original BTC plus the interest back.
Yeah, and what happens to your BTC? Somebody's borrowing it?
Yeah, ostensibly they're pretending they own it, I guess. I'm not sure why they would want to.
Yeah, but are they when they borrow it, what are they pledging as collateral in exchange for it?
So I believe that they have to put their Bitcoin also into the same contract with yours, and then together that's forming the DLC.
Huh? Okay, so they put in Bitcoin, you put in Bitcoin, they can then borrow more Bitcoin, but their Bitcoin and your Bitcoin are both locked. Is that somehow
I
the
think so.
setup?
Yeah, it doesn't make total sense to me. That's what I'm trying to
What's
figure
that
out.
product called, Anon?
It's called Cadena. They're out of El Salvador, I think. I don't know much about them, but
Cadena.
yeah,
Okay.
I've just been trying to figure it out, because I think it's the only thing out there right now that does pay loans in Bitcoin, I think.
With all this recent shenanigans, I think a lot of people are going to be pretty hesitant to let anybody get their hands on their Bitcoin.
I agree. That's why I'm trying to figure it out, because it's non-custodial. So I'm just trying to understand what the risks are.
Blanca, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, I'm just I've been kind of reflecting on the hard money versus fiat money debate, and there's a lot of things to work out here with what a future looks like on deflationary money. I mean, if the hurdle rate for producers in society is the CAGR of Bitcoin at 30% a year, And obviously, you're going to incentivize people to hold the appreciating currency over transacting. So you're going to get a big change here in the economy. And it's kind of interesting to play it out because, like, from a product design standpoint, you can kind of play it out. Like all the products we deal with today are cheap and fall apart because they're replaceable. But in a deflationary money future, that product is going to be incredibly durable because the producer has to convince you to spend today instead of saving so you can buy more tomorrow. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to kind of suss out here with what a future looks like using Bitcoin as a base currency.
If I was a newbie listening to this, my takeaway would be as soon as a fiat dollar came into my hands, buy Bitcoin with it. I mean, I think that's the only lesson that can be learned, and probably until the day you die. Because, like
If I
Fred
was a
said,
newbie
Fred,
listening to this, I would think you're all crazy. Go ahead.
well, that's true too. Well, okay, a newbie with maybe 50 to 100 hours of studying Bitcoin.
Etienne, imagine a world in which the short-term interest rate was 30%. Okay, and that's kind of a world that is approximate by Bitcoin. So if the dollar had a 30% interest rate, so you just put your money in the bank, you get 30%. Now the question is, how would you, what,
Well, now
you've
you
got
can
these
just
dollars.
save. Now you don't have to gamble.
Now you just save your dollars, right? Like, now the question is, do you go spend your dollars? You can make 30% by saving them. What do you do with your dollars? Do you buy the new car? Probably not, because you can get, if you wait 3
You
years, you
wait
can
for the
get,
two marshmallows, Fred.
Correct.
yeah. So 30. That's kind of, I think that's the the reality is most people don't believe that Bitcoin can yield 30% a year for the next 10 years. They don't believe it. They're like, nah, that can't be true. But the reality is, yeah, it probably will make 30% for the next 10 years, right? But we just don't, most people, 99% of the people do not believe that.
So didn't
But
you just
those
describe
who do
Argentina?
should,
Like,
excuse me?
didn't you just describe the conditions in Argentina a few years back when they had 30% inflation? Nobody was putting their money in the bank. As soon as they got it, they ran to pay their rent, buy their food, blah, blah, blah. They couldn't get that money out of their hands quick enough. Nobody's going to put it in the bank,
Well, no,
even if the bank's paying
No, he's saying the
30%.
I'm
opposite.
sort of a slightly different scenario, Etienne. I'm sort of saying, imagine that you had no inflation and you had 30% interest rates. Imagine that. Now, what would you do with your money?
Well,
Well,
first,
you would hold it.
after I
Save it. That's the struggle with having a currency that appreciates really very quickly relative to everything else.
Oh,
Because
what a struggle. Please don't do it to me. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I don't think it isn't going to really be a struggle. And this is kind of where the power law kind of gets you out of trouble, because if you look at kind of the power law sort of gives you a timeline as to when this thing is likely to happen. And it's sort of like, well, in 20 years, we kind of get to the point where we're comfortably above gold's market cap, but we're still nowhere near like even real estate's market cap or anything like that. So even in 20 years, the power law sort of says, well, it's not going to completely change the world. We're not really, it's not killing fiat. So, but in 20 years, also the debasement, the rate is now maybe 9%, so, okay, so it's not growing at 30% a year anymore. It's growing at 9% a year. So, with some volatility. So I think, I think the answer to this thing is we've got this transition period where everybody believes in Bitcoin is going to make a ton of money, where those who don't believe in Bitcoin, we're not going to see the effect because it's going to be gradual and they're just not going to see it. And then 20 years from now, we're just going to be the guys who believed in it are going to be the ones that own everything. And the other ones will be kind of screwed.
Well, don't you think that 30% is a combination of Bitcoin's fact that it's only been around 16, 17 years, and the issuance rate was set to a certain point, because
Right.
you really
Yeah.
can't
So
separate Bitcoin's growth from the
well,
outside world
it's
of
a
inflation.
combination. It's a combination of look. What we know is that Bitcoin's rate of growth is decreasing, right? So what it was 100% the CAGR, around 2017. It actually was 100% per year. Now it's in the mid 30s, but it's going down. And 20 years from now, it will be single digit, high single digit. So,
I don't know, Fred. Bitcoin
that
about 5 years ago is worth the same as it is today.
that's well, that's true because you can look at any 2 points and that's not, but just sort of statistically, that's doesn't matter, right? You're just picking 2 points and you're trying to establish some statistical law. You're gonna get
That's
screwed every
why
time.
DCA is the way.
Yeah, I mean, or just look at things. I mean, it's sort of like, how do you determine how we're doing in Bitcoin? Well, you have to you have to have some statistical model as to what the data represented. Now, you know, I think if you look at this thing on a regular time to regular price, you're just basically going to draw erroneous conclusions. I think if
Did
you
you
look at
did
it
you
log
guys
log, you'll understand.
did you guys miss the recent pump? We are not at the same value as 5 years ago. Maybe adjusted for inflation.
Oh, I must have got overcharged back then.
But Fred, Leia Halpern told me it's going down to 40 to 45. And since I subscribe to her Telegram,
You got your
I'm
dry
going to,
powder ready, Terrence?
yeah, she told me to not buy until then.
Oh,
So,
So are
but
you part
did,
of the short with me club?
yeah, I mean, I sold it all and I'm waiting to get back in at 40 to 45. So I'm laughing at you guys who are buying right now.
no, she went long just before the pump, and now she
Uh,
You and
I, I,
restarted
India,
again.
Terrence.
I'm confused what she did. She has that funny accent. What's up, Jace?
I said you and India, Terrence. India sold all his Bitcoin. India Bitcoin
Oh,
man.
yeah, that's
Anyway,
right.
hey Fred, I have a question for you. So
He left. He left. He doesn't like your voice. But I'll be Fred. Go ahead. What do you
all
need?
right,
I
you be
already know
Fred.
what he would say. I know what he would say. Go ahead.
So in a future where it's going up 30% a year and more and more people start saving in Bitcoin, doesn't that make our society less materialistic and reduce the amount of stuff in the world? And won't there be a lot of industry collapse if that happens or when that happens? I mean, think people will value other things than the everyday stuff like the car that you buy, the new car that you buy.
Maybe the quality will go up.
So that would be great.
My take is people are retarded, and they will always be retarded.
I think you're right.
Lauren, you should clip that because that's a good answer for a lot of questions.
Duly noted.
That means late in French, in case anyone's wondering.
Wait, what? What'd you just say?
En retard. I don't ask ATN. En retard means late.
Only
Uh,
That
So
means
everyone's just a little late,
See,
is what
now
I'm saying.
I've met you in person,
It means
so
retarded.
so you know how to pronounce my name correctly. Although I've met Terrence in person too, but he's just being stubborn. He's kind of like Lauren.
I'm a
Doesn't want to
simple
learn
man.
new
I
stuff.
I
Hey,
understand
hey, hey,
words
hey,
when
easy.
letters are put together that make sense. Look at yours. ETI. I don't know what the heck that is. I only speak English. Um, speaking of, I see ST here. See, those are two letters I can pronounce.
I'm not proud of my French heritage. Let me just say
ST.
that.
Good morning, guys. I had a question about a few weeks ago. There was someone that was complaining about how he did a loan through Lava and that he hadn't heard from the company in like 3 weeks. So it's one of those companies that like it does like the Bitcoin loan collateral thing. And he said he paid back the loan, but he hadn't heard back, and he was waiting to get his Bitcoin returned to him. And he said he hadn't heard from anybody in 3 weeks.
Was this
I
a
don't know if
long
anybody
time ago or recent?
no like last week the person was speaking on a show like this about it and how he hadn't heard from anybody. Um, and but that was his story. So I'm just wondering if anybody knows more about that, or anybody use lava, or because I know that like there's a lot of discussion time and time again about doing some sort of loan against your Bitcoin, and I just think that that's probably going to end poorly. Like for a lot of people, it's always going to end in some sort of bankruptcy lawsuit. You know, it's a lot of rugging in that world. There's no guarantees. There's nothing secure, safe. Um, everything's tied up. So,
Where's Joe
anyways, I'm just
Carlasare when
curious.
you need him?
Yeah, I'm just curious if anybody knows any more details about that, or how that if it's. And a lot of the links are broken on their website, so I just think a lot of the claims that they have are, a bit dodgy.
Can you show me a broken link, or can you DM me a broken link that's on their website? Um,
Yes.
yeah. And also, if you happen to know who that person is, I'd be curious. We were researching and looking into lava when they first came out, and there were a lot of questionable things. I thought that they potentially fixed all that, but who knows? I don't think the Bitcoin lending is going to go away. I think it's going to grow, and I think it needs to grow, and I think it's going to be helpful for a lot of people. But you're absolutely right. People need to be responsible. They need to have a low loan to value. They need to, just like any loan. But I mean, this will happen in the fiat system too. How many people get wrecked by loans in fiat world? Tons of people.
Pretty
Was
sure
lava
their first
custodial?
mistake was naming their company Lava. I remember when we were kids
Yeah,
jumping from the
exactly.
couch to the chair. The name of the game was Lava. Don't step in it.
There's a couple
I
of
thought
those
that
though.
was
There's Debify, there's lava, but those all custodial ones?
well. There's a bunch of different ones. Yeah, I mean, Lava is custodial, I believe. I'm not sure if Debify is. Um, yeah, I think Debify is as well. I mean, some of them have proof of reserve. Some of them are just purely peer to peer, like HODL HODL. Um, I know Ledin, which I do think is a pretty good service, just has a very high interest rate. It's like in general, the ones that have the high interest rates that most Bitcoiners don't want are the ones that are solid because they usually have proof of reserves. They're not rehypothecating or relending out. Um, Whereas if it's a smaller interest rate, the only way they can get that lower interest rate is that they have to lend out. So you have to assume that there's going to be a certain amount of risk. But it's also hard for some people to say no to a 4.6% loan, for example, if you're willing to be on Coinbase and use their Morpho system and whatnot. And so technically you're part of a DeFi thing. But if you're okay with that and it's a small amount and the risk, that could work in the short term. We've seen a lot of these things get wiped out a lot, but I think a lot more are going to continue to come. And there's lots of big companies doing it, from Ledin to Arch. I know there's someone else who's really big who's lending that I'm forgetting. But there's places that we know, like Unchained, and it makes it really easy if you're already using them as a collaborative custodian. But you're going to,
Don't forget Strike. I think Strike has a pretty good
yeah,
program
Strike
too.
does too. And so there is an element of trust, absolutely, but it's really more on the user, on the
Hey,
borrower.
Terrence. I was just getting DM just then from different listeners saying maybe raising some red flags about lava. I don't want to spread false rumors, but if people could go
Yeah,
research before they go diving into one of these, that would be advisable. And if somebody does have concrete links to any of that, I always like to warn as many people as possible about any fraudulent products or people out there. So if anybody has any links to confirm this, shoot them my
for
way.
sure.
Yeah,
You might have
actually,
fallen asleep, but that's what I was asking ST for and saying as well. But yeah, it always could be said again. Sorry, Tiffany.
no, no, I was just gonna add to the convo here just some thoughts. Yes, to what Lauren said, 100%. Also, is there like a 7 year, I guess, like instinct here for these loan companies? Like most of these lenders are under 5 years old and haven't really been through a full cycle. Does that matter, or is that just like a fiat like world habit I'm importing here? Like, is there a track record that we should be looking at for when we start to use these companies? Like, I don't know much about Cadena. I have heard of it, but I know it's probably under like a year old, right? So is there a 5 to 7 year instinct we should be looking out for? Should we wait? Are you using, I think are you using, that sounds really bad. Any of these companies, Terrence?
Yeah, I use a ton of them. I talk about it all the time. It's a very small percentage of my Bitcoin, and I keep my loan to values very, very tiny. But because I live on a Bitcoin standard, I need dollars sometimes, and some people that don't accept Bitcoin. And I also help a lot of people in real estate get Bitcoin mortgages and mortgage loans. And there's a couple of good products out there that are really strong that I think are great for people that don't want to sell their Bitcoin because they know their Bitcoin's going to grow faster than the percentage that they're paying. At the same time, you got to be careful. You just don't know. And some people will sleep better at night simply spending their Bitcoin and not borrowing off of it. But for the same reason that the ultra wealthy and people in the fiat system often, want to keep their appreciating assets in perpetuity, I think some Bitcoiners are going to want to do the same for at least some of their Bitcoin.
I'd recommend that you write an ebook about it, but by the time it comes out, it'll probably be out of date the way things are changing so fast.
Just to like again, I've never used Lava, but recently, because of that person speaking on it, I thought it became interesting. I looked into it. It said you can borrow up to 50% of the value of your Bitcoin. So then you would transfer, let's say, like just a scenario, you would transfer, 1 Bitcoin to them. You can borrow 50% against that at a 6.5% interest rate, and then as you use some sort of credit card with them, you can earn 5% back in Bitcoin. You earn that back like a cash back reward, but in Bitcoin up to 5%. Um, anyways, it sounds like, I don't know, kind of useful in a strange way, but at the same time, like, after you repay the loan and you don't hear from them, like, do they really have it?
Well,
Because
if
it kind
that
of.
and if that is a regular mechanic, obviously, but there's so many of these cases, and this is what we were talking about with Trezor earlier, where one person will have something weird and like, oh, he didn't KYC yet, or he didn't put his driver's license up yet, so that they can send it back because they have to report that now, and then suddenly FUD is spread that they're hanging on to my Bitcoin, and so if they're scammers, they're scammers, but it's just like I hate to spread this information where we're just guessing and we don't have facts. So I'd love it if you could find out information about that person or send that person our way because we definitely want to let others know either way.
Just remember, folks, we
Yeah,
are
will
so
do.
stinking early that anything that you delve into in this area or any area outside of holding your own keys, just consider yourself a guinea pig. So people like Terrence are perfect because either out of necessity or because they're willing to stick their neck out a little and be the person that learns about this stuff for us. Talk to somebody like that you trust. Otherwise, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, full
I kind of
disclosure,
agree.
I have some Bitcoin on Lava. It's a very small amount, but for my clients and whatnot, I wanted to know how it works. And for me, it's
Correction. You had Bitcoin on
yeah,
lava.
it's working beautifully, and I've had no problem. And I've taken Bitcoin off, put Bitcoin on. I've done everything. I have the Bitcoin card on my phone. So there's some benefits to it, but I also know that it's completely at risk if something goes sideways.
I'm in a different position than Terrence. I don't live on a Bitcoin standard. I live on the dollar standard. So these sort of solutions aren't there yet for me to either borrow or lend in Bitcoin. Like I haven't seen anything that's super attractive yet. I think it's too mature of an industry at this point. I don't like the interest rates. I think we can get there, but yeah, I just don't borrow or lend in Bitcoin. I do that in dollars. My strategy for trying to accumulate more Bitcoin is really a buy and sell strategy. Like if I want to accumulate more Bitcoin than I otherwise already would by saving, say, my paycheck in Bitcoin, if I want to do more than just that, I would. I personally prefer trying to time the market, and people will think I'm being ridiculous, but I'm not. I'd personally rather prefer trying to actually time the market than to say borrow against my Bitcoin in order to say purchase more Bitcoin. That's just where I'm at though.
And you're in the green, right?
I am. My first big sale was last November.
I think of that meme with Homer talking to Bart, where he says, "For now."
And Mars, given, I mean, I don't know
Oh
what's
yeah, there's a risk there, but the reward is that you can stack more Bitcoin, right? That's how the markets work. So it's tough, but it's achievable, you know. So
Mars. I don't.
Well, when you get as old as me, you're gonna want to have a more restful sleep at night.
I think you get less sleep if you're borrowing against your Bitcoin.
Yeah, he might be right
Hell
about
yeah!
that. Hey, Mars, I don't know what state you're in, but and assuming you pay capital gains taxes, have you mapped out or the math? Because when I map out the math, there's no scenario where me ever trying to sell and buy lower makes sense unless I can go back in time. Because that's kind of like a big divide for me, at least being in California.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so if you sell Bitcoin,
Clear the tax rate.
yeah, like which
Yeah,
for me, federally and state, I'm looking at like a 40% haircut.
yeah, but if you sell at Pico tops, capital long term capital gains is 20%. It's achievable. I'm not saying sell your entire stack, but we had a group of a dozen to 20 plebs that were named the Bear Chat that did this very thing, right? And I participated. I wasn't part of the Bear Chat, but they did this. They sold above 110, 112, 118, 120. And and I know many of them personally that have bought back in the low 60s, that went heavy back into the low 60s. So it is sure risky, and
Plus, G Money
yes,
is his accountant, so he's
many
good.
people can lose money, but that is how the markets work. If you want to take the risk of losing out on upside, you can certainly be rewarded if you do it right by accumulating more Bitcoin. It's a Bitcoin accumulation strategy,
I would
right?
say
Yeah.
80% of the typical person that does that, once even if they got out the Pico top, uh, getting back in
Well, you got to be right
is
twice, and not only picking the top, you got to be able to pick the bottom. And like for easy
it's easier
Stop
to
numbers,
find
saying
a
that.
No,
block
you
than do
don't.
that.
You don't need to pick the bottom. That's a misconception. You just have to buy in at a level that's below, right? That
This is
that
not financial
taxation
advice,
expense.
yeah. But see,
everyone.
for me being in California, if I sold at 100,000 and bought back at
That's fair.
60,000, I would it
That's
would it,
fair.
it would be
That's
even.
fair.
I would
Yeah,
achieve
yeah.
nothing. So I'd have to buy below 60, and that just seems rough
Talk
for
to your
me.
boy G Money.
I did talk to G Money. G
Yeah,
Money
bro.
said not to
Stop
pay.
paying your
He said you
taxes to
get
Pito.
pieces of paper from the IRS, put it in the
Yeah, and that
trash.
you have fire
I did
started.
actually just get another piece from the
Ooh, what
IRS
did they
asking me to
say?
file
Yeah.
my 20. They wanted me to file my 2025 tax returns. I'm like, motherfuckers, it's been 7 years. You think I'm all of a sudden going
Is
to
that you
file?
talking to
Right?
yourself or
File
you
these
wrote that
nuts.
down? Listen,
This is
you
interesting.
think I'm gonna?
I talk to myself. I talk to
Yeah, I was
myself
gonna say
sometimes,
you didn't
actually.
send them anything.
No, I got a piece of paper in the mail.
Well,
It
what
says file
about
your
20?
tax return.
Did you file 2024? Did you file
No,
2023? Did you file
Did you file
no,
2022?
2025?
How long does
no. I
this
literally
go?
7
I know they're just
years.
going to keep sending me little cute notices in the mail, little love letters I
And
get,
what
little
do you have a
percent love
GPA?
letters. Yeah, his name's Pepe.
Do you have a backup plan?
All I'm
Interesting.
saying is if you're gonna
Are you good
borrow
at
for
not
me,
dropping the soap?
Terrence,
Do you like the
the
Philippines?
decision isn't hodl or try to trade the market. The decision is borrow or try to trade the market. If you're in that mindset, if you're gonna try to get more Bitcoin somehow, I would rather try to time the
No,
market
no, no.
than
I
to try
get
to
that.
borrow against my Bitcoin.
Yeah, I totally
That's all.
get that. And because I do,
Every time you try to time the market, you usually get hosed. It might work out once or twice, Mars, but you're going to get hosed at one
G
point,
Money's
buddy.
going to be hosed in prison. British, you're back.
Yeah. That's the
Mm.
fun of
Hello,
that's how you
hello.
hold on, that's how you feel alive, G Money.
Hello,
Like,
Governor.
like you've been in this
Yeah, you
game
know
long
you're
enough.
alive when
Hodling
there's
gets
coal pipe.
boring, bro.
Yeah,
It's like, oh look, oh my god, another
you know you're
20%
alive when you
correction
drop
this
the
month.
soap in prison.
But
Hey, you
if
want
you
to
want to
get
stay
some more
engaged,
excitement?
bro, if you want to feel
Just stop
alive, G
paying your
Money, you gotta
taxes.
put your money where your mouth is. You know, you gotta try to make money.
Hey,
So
you want to
time
live on the edge
That's
a little
right.
bit? Stop paying your taxes too,
All
time
buddy.
your
right. Well,
smash buying, Mars.
G
Just
Money,
time
the
your
man who
smash
loves
buying.
big government but just doesn't want to fund it. Gotta love it.
Oh my gosh.
Hello, Governor.
Not your keys, not your coins.
This is
Isn't it past your
it's too
the
much
bedtime,
fucking
slop.
British?
energy
It's
I
like one
We're
miss.
o'clock in the
we're
This is
morning.
the
drifting into
energy I
slop
miss in
territory here.
Bitcoin.
We gotta be careful.
True.
This is the fucking Bitcoin energy I miss.
I
Just
know
buy
it's a bull.
just
We're
buy
fucking
IBIT.
This
bullish,
is
dude.
not
I've been
the
listening to
dancing
people
I'm
talk
grandpa
about
fucking
energy.
bullish. These
war
people
and
are
shit
fucking
all
sitting
morning,
around
dude.
be
I'm
trying to be
like,
sensible.
Buy IBIT and sell call options.
Get in the fucking
let's
tent.
go, let's go. That's actually I like that
Sell put options
What
at
was
this
it?
point.
covered call strategy.
Who's in the tent? Who's not in the
Hell
tent?
yeah.
British isn't.
Bit
We're all in
A.
the tent.
I like the tent.
No, but get further into the tent, as close to the middle, around,
Snuggle up with
surround
Terrence
Larry
in the
Go
Fink.
to
middle
the
of the
poll. Go
tent.
British, I
straight to
had
the poll.
all my IBIT was called away from me at 100. I
Uh-oh.
sold
Oh
the damn
dear.
100 strike.
Oh, nice.
Uh-oh.
But
How you feeling?
that works in an up market. I would not do it in a bear market. But since we're coming
Yeah,
into a bull
look,
market,
I like the yield harvesting products, as everybody knows, right? Like I spoke about MSTY. I went there, that fucking rang the bell with dark. Like like I still hold my MSTY. I still think it's a good product. I think what they do is good, right? It's certainly, you know,
Sorry.
there you go. It's certainly I'm getting in sync, Lauren. Like
You
I'm
loving it,
knowing
huh?
when
Big Bitcoin,
yeah, I'm
baby.
knowing when you're about to start it. Like I kind of get a feeling, you know? It's kind of cool.
his
But
ears were
anyway,
burning.
like yeah, I like the yield harvesting product. I just don't like doing it myself anymore. So I'd rather use a small portion of my portfolio and let the pros do it. Let the
Big.
pros do it. The pro's name is Scott. You know, let Scott. Scott takes care of MSTY, WNTR, and majority of the products over at YieldMax. Or you could use Bit A. Now you can use BlackRock's own product, Bit A.
Everything.
Bit A is BlackRock's covered calls product for iBit, and they do the work for you.
I'm just gonna say I rode the MSTY train hard, and I basically just broke even. So it wasn't that great of an experience.
Well, what do you
And
mean by you broke you? Do you still hold it?
No, I sold it, but I had like 300K of it. It paid like nice 25 to sixty
But
thousand
why do you
this
dollars
mean you
a
broke
surprises me
month.
even? I
about
don't
you, bro.
I don't understand. Why do you
The
mean you broke?
things you
Because, like,
learn.
for example, sorry, go ahead, Mars.
I was just commenting. That surprises me that Bitcoin Anon was an MSTY guy. Good for you, man. I like.
No, but
No,
Hell
no,
yeah.
no. I
think
mean,
about it, right?
I
Like, if
understood
you
the
Be
held
risk.
thankful you got
MST,
out break even.
See, you're taking
I don't
chances.
understand. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Because, like, for example, if you were holding MSTR, right? Because of the dividends that you got, if you factor in dividends on the chart, you'll see that MSTY is actually down less peak to trough than MSTR because of the dividend payments. Now, I will say, if I had sensed that we were going into a deep bear market like what we just had, I would have absolutely pivoted and sold my MSTY and bought WNTR, which is the reverse side. Now, I didn't sense that, so I'm holding the bag, but next time I will. I will definitely replace that and switch them out.
By
I
the
I
way,
don't
it
think they're
know.
is
good
good.
Nobody
It
knows
products.
is good
anything.
to
We don't have a
see.
crystal ball.
It is good to see the WNTR folks get kicked in the teeth. I
Yeah,
do
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, me too.
You're so arrogant at one point, bro.
My
Fuck,
friend, one of my
fuck you.
fucking, here's the crazy part, Mars. One of my fucking best friends was like, he just went, nah, it's a 4 year cycle. I'm fucking selling my MSTY and putting it in WNTR. And he's been fucking texting me almost every day to kick me in the mouth as a result of this. So I
I
can't
don't know.
wait until we
Nobody
make a
knows
new
anything.
all-time
We don't
high.
have a crystal ball.
Thanks,
Pepe coin,
Layla.
man.
Listen,
Pepe coin.
Big
I'm
Bitcoin
fucking
has a
bullish,
crystal
dude. Oh,
ball.
I keep saying the F word. I'll stop that because
Yeah,
it's a
we
family
say
show. But
sweet,
I'm
sweet
bullish,
love
dude.
here instead. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
I'm
bullish.
freaking bullish.
Yeah, so
We gotta,
freaking bullish.
we gotta be. spitballing ideas here, thinking about how much money we're gonna make. Like, let's focus on the solution, not the problem. Like,
Which what we buying, Mars? What we buying,
what are we
Mars?
buying?
Mars, what we buying?
Yeah, I got some back chat. I'm not gonna say that publicly. People give me a hard time. I'm like, I got some
I
degen
need
plays, bro.
Mars in one of those floaty
I'm gonna
F one
degen this
fifties that
bull
I've seen.
market, and no one can stop me.
Let's go. That's all we're doing over here. We are accumulating.
Terrence, I think this
This is what we're
space has
doing,
denigrated into utter madness. And it's
I think I
Kidding?
guys.
like
It's
that
big
Are you guys
Bitcoin.
kidding?
that big Bitcoin song. Yeah, you need to play
yeah,
that when British is like,
his entry
Hell
song.
yeah.
Hey,
by.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
Terrence.
on his camel, with the towel on his head, cruising from
I think
bar to
that's
bar.
racist.
Ter-
I'd have
It's
to
not
look that
Terrence.
up.
racist. That's what they do.
You know I
Terrence.
don't
Lauren.
Terrence.
How
You
else
know
Hey,
do
I
they
don't
get
drink,
around?
right?
Did you say
I gotta
they?
get this off my chest. A
That's how they
Oh
travel.
little
man,
miffed about you two this morning. You guys. I first of all, I stand with Kudo because like you invite him on stage, he says good morning, and you two give him a hard time for not saying enough, and that you expect more out of him than just saying good morning, and
that was
then
Terrence.
and
To be
then
fair,
he dives into his
a
like two
tirade. He
minutes
didn't get
in, you
off
guys
the
are giving
frickin'
him a hard time for
soapbox.
being too long winded, and so I stand with
Well, there's a happy
Kudo
in between here,
But
Mars.
because you
Kudo
guys
is a bit
literally fuck. You
long-winded,
can't
though.
win with either of you guys.
Yeah, Terrence and Lauren are known bullies. We've known that
There's
for a
a
long
there's
time.
a little sweet spot in there, Mars. Like you can't just say hi.
Yeah,
You
you got
jump
to
up
hit the
on
sweet
stage, you
spot.
say
I know.
hi, then you get jump up on
I know
stage, you
it's not my
step up
first
on that.
basis, dude. I get it.
Yeah, it's your second one.
Yeah.
Mars, why are you attacking them? They just got into the
Yeah.
tent.
God,
Yeah,
we're in
you're
the
right.
tent.
You're
Mars,
We're in
right.
the
they're in the
cocoon.
tent, Mars.
We're
I know
all in
you've
the
Yeah,
been
we're
sitting
in
tent,
the
on the
dude.
tent.
outside for so
Get in here
long.
with
They're in
get in
here now.
Terrence's sleeping bag.
Who's not in the tent? Isn't everyone in the tent?
No,
Yeah.
Blake 2B is
Everyone,
the
even
Anon is
other
in the
Puncher,
guy.
tent.
It's
even
Oh,
literally
Blake
Puncher.
anyone who
2B.
doesn't
G
believe in Blake
Money's got a
2B.
foot outside the tent. Get in the tent.
If you believe in number go up,
That's
I
it.
don't care how you're holding your Bitcoin. You can have a cold card still shoved up your backside, or you can have
Good
IB.
save.
Doesn't matter. If you believe in number go up, you are a big Bitcoiner.
The ledger fits
Every
better.
day.
The cold card's too wide.
Some people like it like
Either
that,
way.
Terrence. It's a free
Terrence, you
country.
would. You would.
Look, I think Big Bitcoin is here. I want to hear from Natalie. I want to hear Natalie's
Money.
Bitcoin
Biggie.
takes. These are the most impressive, unheard Bitcoin takes on the whole of Bitcoin spaces. Is Natalie's Bitcoin takes?
Hi,
She's on
Natalie.
every
Hi,
fucking
Lauren.
stage for some reason, but doesn't have any opinions, takes, perspectives, or anything. But everyone brings her and center stage even. So let's
I wish
I
hear
you
don't
didn't
know.
for
mince your
Nobody knows
once.
words,
anything.
British. I
We don't
wish
have
you
a
For
crystal
said
once,
how
ball.
you
let's hear
felt.
Natalie's takes.
I don't know. Nobody knows anything. We don't have a crystal ball.
She's British. I did not know that. Let's have a spot of tea,
Natalie,
Governor.
no takes. That's what we're gonna call her. Natalie, no takes.
I
She's
can't hear
having some
I
Natalie.
think the no
technical
takes are better
difficulties.
than like the Fred takes and the puncher takes.
Yeah.
So I'll take
You
that.
might be right. It's
Here.
definitely better than Puncher takes for
Natalie, are
sure.
you
Hunter.
talking? We can't hear you if you are.
Hi,
She's
hi,
crying right now.
Terrence. You can't hear me?
Oh yeah, hi Natalie.
I'm
What happened to
speaking.
your
Hi,
voice?
Lauren, is that
nothing.
Hunter
Oh, that
Greene?
sounds
What
exactly
happened to
like
your
her.
voice?
Oh
Hunter thinks
wow.
he's better. I'm
I'm
tired of it.
better.
I want
No,
to
you
know,
Nice.
sound like
Natalie.
the
I'm
gay
tired of
Puncher
it.
grandpa
thinks
on
it.
Family
And
Guy.
Did Natalie find the snake in
Puncher
her house?
thinks Puncher thinks he's holier than every number go up person,
British
but he
thinks I'm
won't sell
selling
his Bitcoin.
peptides, but that's not true.
You're
Yeah,
not. You're not a
yeah.
Bitcoiner, British, because you didn't support BIP 110, bro. Puncher says you're not a real
Absolutely,
Bitcoiner.
I'm
All right,
not a
Lauren. I think
Bitcoiner.
it's time. I
I've
think it's
seen
time
It's
to
how the
time.
play
We're,
Isn't it?
we're,
Bitcoiners
we're,
act.
we're
I am
drifting.
Yeah.
not a
Bring
Bitcoiner.
it
Do
back. We'll
it.
bring it back in. We blew off a little
Hi.
steam.
Yep.
We're good. We're good.
All right. If anyone has any closing comments, just
Raise your
unmic
hand.
yourselves. Yep. No need to go around.
Everybody's welcome
That's
to the
right.
tent.
Oh,
We're
there's
winning in
Tao.
here.
Everybody's welcome to the tent,
Oh,
guys.
Welcome to
Tao's
Okay.
the
talking.
Yes.
tent.
Everybody's
We're in.
welcome to the tent.
Snuggle up
Just
in
walk
here,
in.
Tao.
Yep. He's speaking in
No, it's a
English
big
too.
tent. You don't need to snuggle up. It's a big tent. It's welcome for everybody. We've got enough space for everybody in
Except for
here.
this guy.
Everybody's welcome.
Oh, there's Gary. Oh, hey,
Oh,
there's Gary's
GC's
intro.
here.
Hang on, I want to play Gary's intro.
Please, this is all we need to know
Prices
about
determine the
Bitcoin.
value of money.
You're welcome,
That's it.
Gary.
That's it, gentlemen. We are bottoming out. We are finding having a platform to launch off of. Is everyone excited?
Let's go.
Lauren loves
Let's
bottom.
do
Got the
this
50.
Let's
motherfucker,
fuck.
huh?
I do. You bought
God
them.
damn. 8 years waiting on this fucking thing. Listening to y'all's bad jokes. It's
You've
getting
been here
This
for
is
You're
old.
8
welcome.
years, Gary?
2013, guys. This is
I try to
2013.
entertain the masses,
I didn't
Gary.
know
Come
Gary
on.
was here for 8 years. Wow.
Well, started buying in 18. Maybe it's less than 8 years, 7 years, something like that. But
Gary
We
started
round
buying
we'll
at
round
age
up. We round
18.
up.
yeah, we round up. Yeah, every time.
Let's
It's
go.
Bitcoin's worth 100 grand right now.
Let's
Buy
go.
it. Let's do it.
What was Tao taking heat for? He was trying to personally tank the market so he could buy cheaper Bitcoin. I
You
was
can't
reading
trust that
some
guy, Tao.
Tao
No,
said
weird
he
no,
post
sold
not
all
that
his
somewhere.
story
Bitcoin.
again,
That's what
guys.
he
I
was
was
Oh,
on
saying.
dear
Well,
fire
God.
2 days
Tao's full
ago.
ported
I've
into
already
IBIT.
vindicated myself, guys. It's already been done.
Hmm.
I've vindicated
Hmm.
myself on Fred's space. Everybody
Hmm.
Dude,
was
I
there.
think Cal
Yes.
did the right job, dude. If he's trying to buy it just like me, I want
Yes,
it cheaper,
Gary.
dude. If you
Yes.
guys ain't going to step up and buy it, then I want it
I had
cheaper.
no
Exactly.
Fuck. I
I had
mean,
no
God,
idea
Plus, I
Tao
sent
was a
receipts to
trillionaire.
Joe. So
blame
Joe has
me.
my
The only
receipts.
people that blamed me for anything were the people that weren't buying anything. It's like, my goodness,
Yep.
why
Like,
you guys
if
be
Yep.
so
people
hard?
Yep. Yep.
do not
Let's
have
talk this
double
thing down to
digit
40 grand.
yeah.
I thought talking it down to 40 or 50 grand was a really awesome idea.
Hmm. And if you
Look,
believe that,
I'm
I've
just
got a
glad
bridge to
that
sell you.
Tao is full ported into IBIT. I think that's a really good position to be in for Tao.
It's not
Everyone
full ported
is.
British.
Hey,
Has
British,
Most
by the
changed
way,
in the
just want to
last
give you
3 days.
British, can I give you my daily update on my security?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have not lost any Bitcoin today, man.
There we go. That's all that
It's
matters.
working.
I missed
I
the
have a
post where
friend that
Tal sold
lost
all his
a young
Bitcoin.
friend of mine. He's 24 years old. He got there was a phishing attack on him, and he's lost
He got
1.4
outmaneuvered.
Bitcoin today. Yeah,
I heard you
so
guys talking, and somebody made the comment. Just assume all emails, phone calls, and chats are
yeah. Can you imagine living like that?
like,
Sorry,
bro.
honey. I was told on a
I have
space today I wasn't supposed to take your call. Just assume it was spam and trash. Maybe next time,
no.
Dave.
Hey, seriously, Lauren, I have stopped answering my phone. Like, if I don't notice a
No, I
number,
did
I'm like,
that 10
fuck it.
years ago. Yeah.
The emails, like, don't email me anymore. I
Well, I
don't even
have
want to get
50
into it.
50,000 spam emails that I haven't looked through.
Crazy, man.
How many have you sent?
None. I don't send
See, we had to mute him.
Don't
I
answer the
can't hear
fucking
him.
phone. Don't open your email. Fucking,
Close your
don't open the
curtains.
mail.
Put tinfoil up over your windows.
But
Yeah.
act like
Deadbolt your
dark
be
doors
in
side.
the
Like
closed.
Faraday
you gotta
be in
live
the
like dark
Faraday
side. You gotta live like
be in the
puncher.
Faraday room.
Also, Getty
You need a
Fani.
Faraday cage.
I
You need a
carry I
mobile
carry
Faraday cage.
I
carry
put a
three
Faraday
weapons
case
with
over
me at
my
all
head.
time and a Faraday cage now,
Absolutely. You need a.
and I
This
never
is the
sleep,
life
dude.
of the Bitcoiners. This is the life of the Bitcoiners. You got a Faraday cage surrounding you at all times. It's like one of those IV bags, that old people walk around with next to them, except it's a Faraday cage, right? And then you got three guns on you. Your phone is disconnected. Your mail is just burnt immediately as you fucking get it. And your text messages, well, your phone's disconnected. So how are you getting any text messages? Like in your email, what's email, right?
Thank you,
All
Brad.
you have is the fucking Faraday cage IV bag and your
We say
cold
frickin'.
card. That's the
Yeah.
life of a Bitcoiner.
I
Just
got to
Well,
wait.
test
and
out some
you
guns
need to
Wait
yesterday.
travel.
until
You need to
tokenization.
travel. You need a travel pack of professional dye. Also,
You
Oh,
That's
guys are
true
you
as
guys
well.
are all
don't
giving a
forget
really
that.
good
this is
use
America, dude.
case for tokenization. By the way, all that can be tokenized.
Let's go there.
The Faraday cage could
Prices
be
determine the
tokenized.
value.
Yeah,
I
the only
don't
way
know.
the only way
Nobody
to
knows anything. We
authenticate
don't have a
somebody
crystal
in the
ball.
future is going to be through tokenization. That's the only way.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And they stay there. And they stay there. And they stay there.
There we go.
Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you go
Winning. Tiger blood.
beat, everything.
Here we go.
Money, big moves, big boardrooms, big suits, big Bitcoin, big pools, big logos, big news, big sponsors, big checks, big jets, big flex. Whole room stand up when big step. I came from the basement, now we in towers. Used to pass GitHub, now it's private hours. Look at the lobby, marble everywhere. Somebody told me freedom started there. I don't know.
I'm just impressed. Big gold watch on the tail of a vest. Everybody mad in the comment section. I'm just trying to get the conference necklace. You gonna rug us, Terrence, or are we gonna let this madness carry on?